So Vanshika is doing the technical assistance with it. She won't be asking any questions.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, welcome once again to Daily Reflections during COVID-19. My name is ElsaMarie DSilva, and I'm the founder and CEO of Red Dot Foundation. I know it's been over 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks now that we've been socially distancing. It's really tough, especially if you live alone or if you don't have very close friends and family in the vicinity, and if there's a severe lockdown like there is in India. Nevertheless, we know why we have to physically distance ourselves. It doesn't have to be socially disengaged. And that's one of the reasons why I started Daily Reflections. Just to reflect, because this is supposed to be the great pause or the great reset. And during this time, we must pause and reflect on the various aspects of our lives, how we live our lives individually, or how we want our lives to be governed by the people in power. And over the last few weeks, we've had various conversations, with journalists, with entrepreneurs, with corporate business heads, with activists. And today I have a very different guest. I have Pinky Eppaturi. She's an author of the book, Nothing But the Plain Truth. But she is also my colleague from Jet Airways. We were flight attendants many years ago, I think over 2 decades ago. And she has worked across Jet Airways and Delta and is now a business jet crew. Hi, good morning, Pinky. How are you doing today? Okay, so Pinky is having a bit of internet issues. So we are going to see if she logs in back again. Nevertheless, why did I pick her today? So today is the 5th of May, and you know, 5th of May is generally celebrated as the birthday of Jet. And there's an interesting story around the number 5. So Mr. Goyal, Naresh Goyal, who is the founder of Jet Airways, always took a big decision or launched a new flight or a new initiative on a date that added up to the number 5. So 5th May is always celebrated as Jet Airways' birthday. And therefore, I thought, why not get one of my ex-colleagues to share and talk about old memories, but also, figure out how COVID-19 is affecting their life and their work. So Pinky, you're back again. So I explained you're having internet issues. So I hope we can continue. But welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today. I apologize for the internet connection that just pushed me out of this. So, as I was saying then, very good morning to you. Very good morning to whoever has tuned in. What a significant day to catch up, Elsa. Another anniversary date of Jet.
Okay, we lost her again. So anyway, I'm going to just share a little bit about Jet Airways. So I started with Jet Airways as a flight attendant in February 1994. And it was a life-changing experience because, people think about, flight attendants as a waiter or a waitress, or, they don't give real credit to the people who serve you on a plane. Actually, we are professionals. My batch, for example, were all graduates. It was a minimum requirement in those days that you had to be a graduate, and those who weren't were turned away. And we had highly accomplished women and men who were part of our cohort. And, some of them have gone on to do amazing things, starting their own businesses. They moved to different parts of the world, etc. Pinky, you're back. So let's just
I'm
dive
sorry,
in.
Elsa. This time I'm connected.
Okay,
I
no
beg your pardon.
problem. No problem at all, because COVID-19 is really about uncertainty. It's about, you make all the best plans and then something happens and it just kind of, dissipates into thin air. So we are fine with the tech issues. We hope that we can hear you out though. So since today is the birthday of Jet Airways, can you share a little bit about your Jet Airways experience? What did the airline mean to you? How did it shape your career?
Oh, I think Jeremiah's did a lot for me. I still remember that day when I put in an application, got selected. I had those stars in my eyes. From then on, I think I moved on to learning, I don't know what not about the world, whether it's great cuisines, whether it's meeting some wonderful people, whether it's working around and with some wonderful people and learning so much from them. Um, Moving on to leadership positions. Because of Jet Airways, I made it into an international carrier then when Jet Airways was domestic. I was able to join Delta, learn and enjoy so much of what Delta offered me. I discovered my thirst for travel. Even when Delta laid us off, Jet Airways was once again very, very warmly waiting and took us back as international flight attendants, gave us a chance to grow again, become leaders once again. So I became all that. I became a trainer, and very interestingly, on one of my Jet Airways flights, I was offered to write the book which I've written now. So nothing but the plain truth was offered to me on board a Jet Airways flight. So yes, it shaped up my career quite a bit. A lot of what I learned, I have put down in that book. Alongside, I was able to join the corporate industry. So a lot of things that I learned from Jet Airways, the adaptability, the flexibility, the ability to be around and speak confidently with high net worth individuals, chairmen, corporates. I've flown with some of the biggest names of the biggest companies in India. Today, I managed to write travel articles for magazines. Um, you know, so there's a lot which Jet Airways has given me, and I'm really very grateful for that.
Pinky, I want to relate it to COVID-19. So COVID-19, has brought the world to a standstill. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with uncertainty, because we have never, most people have never worked from home. I, fortunately, for the last 7 years, have been working from home. But as a flight attendant or part of the aviation industry, our industry is 24/7. We get an off day on a Wednesday when nobody else is around. We just learn to
Really.
adapt and move with the flow. But coming to uncertainty, every day is a different day. So we are trained to deal with uncertainty. Can you share and link a little bit with this current times of COVID-19, where people are uncomfortable with uncertainty, and how did we train ourselves, and how did we look forward and thrive in uncertainty?
I think Elsa, from one of the things that we have known always is there's nothing that's more certain than uncertainty. And I think that's very, very applicable today. Um, with all the changes that are coming in from the initial fear of health, today people are parallelly worried about their economic situation. So sometimes when people talk, they say there are two choices. Either you will leave this world thanks to the coronavirus, or the lack of livelihood will kill you. It's not just knowing that jobs may be lost or economic situations may be difficult. It's just so much of this uncertainty that you spoke about. Nobody knows exactly what has happened. It has become like an important flight that we've got to take somewhere. You know, an aircraft is parked there. All you need to do is board, get on it, and go. But there's this film of very thick fog because of which nobody is able to see the aircraft. You can't board it and you can't go where you want. So, because of this, yes, there are lots of repercussions, economic, mental, and there are lots of things that we can't control. So, what I'd like to say is if you don't know what's going to come up, yes, you may fear it, but you need to realize that you can't control it. Okay, so a couple of proactive decisions that you can make for yourself, whichever industry you belong to, not just aviation, is to think of certain methods in which you would get ahead of other people. Because once this lockdown is lifted, there will be a mad rush to the offices back, to applying for jobs, whatever they may be. So it's a good idea to think ahead and think of picking up a few relevant skills that may put you ahead of many others. Okay, whether you are in aviation itself or elsewhere. So I think this uncertainty, which is bringing you down today, the moment you apply your mind to these productive activities, will kind of pick you up from there. Okay, and well, recently I was reading this book called Ikigai. Okay, so Ikigai, I know a lot of people have read it. I just got a chance to read it now. Is a Japanese term for giving your life a purpose. Okay, so what I'd like to say is you don't really have to take it in such a broad perspective. Take it on a day-to-day basis. Okay, so this purpose of life doesn't always have to be an expedition to the Himalayas. It can be a daily thing that you pick up. Something that I'm going through right now is, well, where fitness is concerned, I dedicate at least 4 times a week. Sorry, about 1 hour of fitness I dedicate myself to. Now my problem here is I was never a gymnasium person. I was never an indoors person for this. I always walked or ran in the park opposite my house, but I can't do it now. So I don't know when this lockdown, like you said, uncertainty thing will go. So I really don't know when I will get up and be able to go and take that walk again. Yet I need to remain fit. So now, as I was talking about the purpose for the day, even if I feel demotivated or sometimes just plain lazy, I was like, what's in this home workout for me? I've never a home workout person. So the purpose I give to myself is, as it is, there's so much of uncertainty. God knows how many takers there will be. I don't know when I'll get my next flight. But when that call comes for the flight, I need to be presentable. The day someone looks at me and says, okay, she's out of shape, she's looking a certain way because she's not done anything for her fitness, I will start to lose out. So either I can sit and worry about maybe getting or not getting a flight or getting an assignment or not, or I can pick myself up, like I can give myself this purpose and go and do something with myself, whatever it may be, a home workout, run on the stairs, do yoga, do whatever it is, but give myself that little bit of purpose and get out. Okay, that's one. Then when I talk to a lot of my friends, they talk about, now see, I'm not medically qualified really to talk about things like depression and all that, but something that I hear very commonly is people feel so low that they don't feel like getting out of bed. Like they said, there is no purpose for me. What do I do with myself? Household chores are boring. So what I like to just mention in moments like that is look at it differently. Give yourself this purpose. Now, let's say, yeah, you're sleeping till 1 o'clock. Nobody's asking you anything. Nobody's telling you anything. And it's very likely, if you're slightly privileged like we are, maybe your lunch will be ready. You've not made it for breakfast because you didn't get up. So maybe your lunch will be ready, maybe your house will be clean, maybe things will be very, very proper. But there's someone who did all that. There is no house help today. So it's very likely it's a loved one, maybe your parent, maybe your spouse, your partner, whosoever who's done it, and may have gone through a lot of burden to do this. Maybe you don't want to do the housework, but would you like to ease a little bit of that burden from that person's shoulders? Maybe. So if you think of it that way and give yourself the purpose to go and help that person, you will automatically pick up something to do and help. And the moment you put your mind to doing something, you become productive. Please remember, productive doesn't always mean your end result today has to be monetary. It's making yourself useful. This is equally meaningful as planning an expedition to the Himalayas. And I would like people to recognize that.
COVID-19 is also bringing out the best in people, also some of the worst, but let's focus on the best. And empathy and kindness is again something that we in our industry, especially as frontline staff, exercise it every day. Do you write about it in your book?
Um, I have written some acts of kindness. See, my book is about real experiences. So, what is done is already done in the past. There was no COVID there for me to relate to,
But yes, the future articles which I write will have some element of kindness because, if you remember the call that we had, the discussion that we had over the phone, I said, Elsa, I don't know if I made that big a difference as you have, you know. But then I sat down and I realized there are these little things that we can do for each other. I will tell you some in a bit. And maybe document it, put it down so that people understand that this is not about some deep it's good if you're spiritually conscious, but if you're not, it's still okay and you can make the difference. Now, suddenly, I have found time for connecting with a lot of friends and family members all over the world. And it's amazing to realize that so many people are vulnerable like you, not just me, so many people fear. So I was talking to this captain from New Zealand, who's a friend of mine. He called me from Vancouver. He was doing a rescue flight for some German citizen. So, and he's really senior in the company. And I said, what is the matter with you? Should you not report sick? Why in the world are you flying at this time? The first thing he said is, we are letting go of 400 pilots. I do not want to be noticed as someone who doesn't want to come to work now. Okay. So he was one. The same thing in the US. There are people who are airplanes which are flying with 1122 passengers, but people are not calling in sick, though they are scared because they're very afraid to lose their jobs. So this listening is an act of kindness. Okay, so if I'm ever to write an article about it, I will definitely write about this listening. And the strongest people are vulnerable. Let me tell you that we all really are all in this together. Okay, then again, like I said, connecting with friends, I do come to know of a lot of people who need this listening. They just want to share, and they don't want to tell everybody possible that they are feeling a little not up to the mark, not as strong as ever. So this listening and the sharing, see, because like you said in the start of this, while social distancing is important, internet connections should not keep us away. You know, online discussions should not be put away. Yeah, so connect that way. Then, if I come to know people who I'm not very close to, who are going through some form of a crisis, what I've started doing is, for example, okay, I know you're not one of them for sure, but let's say if I came to know Elsa De Silva was going through some kind of a low moment. So what I would do is I would think of 4 pointers. Okay, I would say, Elsa, you taught me some great leadership skills way back in those days when I not dreamt of being a leader. You taught me organizational skills. On this particular layover, we went for dinner at this place because you love going to restaurants. Now I have discovered that I love going to good restaurants. Okay, so I make like 3 or 4 pointers like that and send a message to the person saying that, hey, it's been a long time and for some reason I've been thinking about you. And I thought I should just thank you for these moments that you gave me. And if you have time, please connect with me. So what I try and do is, without hurting the pride of the person, I leave the possibility to connect open. And that's my bit of kindness that I like to put out. So if I'm writing articles, I will be writing these simple things which I now realize are making a lot of difference to people. Yeah. And if you
I
have any
love
such ideas, please pass them on too.
I really love this idea that, write think about 4 positive things and reach out to the person and communicate it. For me, this daily reflections has been something like that. It's been a way to connect with people from my networks who maybe I have not spoken with in a long while. And like I mentioned, there are no predetermined questions. It's just a conversation. Of course, it's a live conversation, so that makes a lot of people antsy and nervous, especially if they are business heads. But I've been very conscious not to ask them politically incorrect questions. But in doing so, we've had genuine, honest conversations, things that they never thought about for so many years. And what we found is that there's actually so much of good in this world. We have so many points in common and we can learn from each other. Like today, I learned from you about these 4 points, and I'm going to try and implement it. So thank you for that. And I noticed we have some of our JET colleagues, logging in. Anjali Vartak says she read your book. I don't know if you
I
flew with her, but
Wow.
she was batch one. She says it was a great book. Anaita Brocha, the
Wow.
Lisa driver, has
Thank
said
you.
Hi, and Andrea Crizzle has also liked our post. I know Shariar Mystery is my number one fan, so he logs in all the time. Charles Soon also logs in from Singapore. So there are a lot of people watching, and a lot of people will continue watching throughout the day. So, what is Nothing But the Plain Truth about, apart from a collection of stories? How did you think? You said you got this idea on a flight. Somebody offered you this book. I know a lot of people met their spouses on board, but you kind of uh, got a book offer. Did you see yourself as an author? What was like the transition like to become an author, and where did you get these stories? And I want to give you one backstory. So on my very first holiday on a Jet Airways staff ticket, my batchmate Rekha and I, we had gone to London, and Hyde Park, right? And they have the speakers corner at Hyde Park. And we always felt we should put a crate over there, stand up and educate people about being good passengers and how you stack your bags, and how
In
irritating
the
it is
speaker's
when
corner.
in the speaker's corner, because the one thing that really irritates most crew is the boarding process, when people bring in all these heavy bags and then they expect you to lift it, and they stack it so badly.
Uh-huh.
When you can fit in like 3 or 4 bags, they'll want the entire space for their bag, and they'll pretend to put it up, and then when you put your hand, it's like you fall down with the weight of the bag, wondering if there are gold nuggets in it or bricks in it or something like that. So we used to always think, oh my God, we should stand on a crate and, educate people on how to travel. So yeah, I haven't read your book, but I plan to, and I just haven't had the time. But yeah, I really would love to, because I think some of those stories are going to resonate a lot with me.
Before we start all of this, all the names that you took, Captain Shariar Mystery, Delisa Driver, Andrea, and all the others, I'm so humbled by the fact, you just made me very nostalgic with all those names. And of course, even talking to you is making me feel the same. Um, so basically, nothing but the plain truth. Uh, it's just, no, I never ever imagined myself to be an author. I never thought I would have enough to say that people would be interested to read. But whoever knows me knows that I'm a major travel freak. So things with the traveling do not get limited to just going and coming back. I have to talk about it. I have to talk about all my experiences, everything that's great, and I'm filled with wonder when I do this. So one fine day, a friend of mine said, instead of yakking so much, I'm sorry for the language, instead of chattering so much, why don't you put it down and write it and put it out for the world to read? I said, okay. So I did it. I wrote an article. Luckily, my very first article was picked by a magazine and it was printed. Now I was elated. I said, wow, really? And I don't know whether the universe willed it for me and put things in place. Very soon, within a month of that incident, I had my publisher on board, with whom I was just making very general PR, and he was asking me the very standard questions of how long you've been flying, where all you've flown, and with all whom you've flown. And somewhere I may have mentioned also that this happened with me, this wonder of a thing happened with me. And he popped the question, quote unquote. So this question was about whether I would write for him. I didn't know what I was going to do. And within a few seconds, a lot of things flashed at that point of time. I said, I can't do it. Can I do it? My life revolves around a roster. Am I kidding myself? And then I thought of something which Richard Branson once said. He said, if you get an opportunity of a lifetime and you really don't know what to do with it, just say yes and decide later how you're going to pull it off. So I kept that in mind and I said yes. And that's where it all started. So nothing but the plain truth is basically a compilation of personal experiences. I know people call them stories. Okay, so they are personal experiences of myself from the airlines that I have flown with. They are personal experiences of other crew members. Elsa, had you told me some story somewhere that I thought was fit, I may have written about it. So that's what I put in the book, from pilots, from passengers. So, it is not just my two airlines, Jet and Delta. It's various airlines. So I have taken all those stories, chosen the most that I thought were fit, and I have gone ahead and made a life for my protagonist, Pari Abraham, and gave her the dramatic life that cabin crew lived. And it's been a really amazing journey from conception to working with my two editors who are not at all from the airline background, and their questions, of lack of enough knowledge about, like one of them did not know that we can have so many types of special meals. I said, really? I thought this is very common knowledge. So, so many conversations like that, added a lot more flavor to the book. So from that to the design cover. Now I'm going to try and show you this. Okay, so this is the front of the book. Okay, which is obviously designed by a designer, but the back of this is. I'm
Can
so
you
sorry
hold
with
it
the
in front
screen.
of the
Yeah,
mirror? I mean, in front of the camera.
the I'm actually on the
Center it.
phone right now because my okay. So
Okay,
basically,
okay.
it says kiss and goodbye. No kisses about 3 minutes. So this is actually a signpost that is put up in Aalborg Airport in Denmark, which is supposed to discourage travelers from hanging out too long there and giving their hugs and kisses because it's very difficult for people to move around. So involvement with this design cover, the eventual promotion, and the book launch has been quite a journey, and eventually. A lot of people supported me, people who I didn't expect. My readers supported me, and somehow things went really well. And at the New Delhi airport, one of the bookstores put it up in its bestseller section. So I'm going to take this opportunity. First, this is a day of gratitude, which I'm really happy that you are allowing me to say first say thanks to Jet Airways. And now to all my readers who made this possible. So it's been great, Elsa. I don't even know. It's wonderful. Something which I never planned to do, but yeah, I'm glad I recognized an opportunity in that one question that came towards me, and I'm glad I'm here today talking about it.
Wonderful. And that's really the power of the universe. Sometimes, you just
Hey,
have to show
hey,
up.
sorry to interrupt you. You're going to say something really profound, but before I forget, so some of the chapters do have stories about the pranks that some of the crew in Jet played. You said about Jet, so I don't know if you remember those accidental falls of Nimbu Pani during certain phases of the flight, which were not actually accidents. I don't know if you remember those and if you can put names and faces to them. Then those innocent moments when you bent over and you were trying to take something out and your foot slightly went up in your shoe, and suddenly when you put it back down, you found ketchup in your shoe. To horror stories on layovers where people made it that mission in life to go from window to window and scare vulnerable victims, and sometimes the roommates were hand in glove. Oh my god, so there are stories like that in that book. There is a story of my first self-sponsored trip to Amsterdam where I accepted a dare from a friend and then walked into a strip club, had a conversation with some of the strippers, found out that they were students who were basically doing this to pay for their college fees. I was shocked to the core. Watched a strip show and came out perfectly safe. Yeah, so, well, Amsterdam is perfectly okay at that time, which I didn't know, to do something like this because I was very young. And I think that's one of the most daring things I've ever done in my life, even above skydiving or bungee jumping or whatever great stuff. And yeah, so lots of stories like that. Sorry, please continue what you were saying. That was really wonderful.
No, I think it brings back memories of butter in the shoe. And then when we had high heels and had to switch to cabin shoes, and your cabin
Oh,
shoes were
yeah.
missing, and yeah, all those kind of stories. So I would recommend people go buy Pinky's book, Nothing But the Plain Truth, and find out, what exactly is the life of a cabin crew. And especially, when we were flying, when I was flying, it was like, um, an average of 1 hour, 1.5 hour flights or 2 hour flights. And yet we had so much of fun. Yeah. I
Oh,
remember on
yeah.
a Calcutta flight where we, had very few passengers, I used to make the crew do a treasure hunt where one crew would be in the forward cabin and one would be at the back. And that way they would constantly walk up and down because we had to walk up and down, just to keep an eye on what was going on in the
Wow.
cabin. Yeah, so those were fun days. You love to travel. I now work
I
in
do.
sexual violence prevention, and therefore,
Wow.
one of the things that I really want to talk about is solo women traveling solo, and I'm sure you've done a lot of that. How do you keep
I have.
yourself safe during, these adventures that you take up, whether within India or outside of India? What are some of those tips that you can share with our viewers?
One very important word: research. Research as much as you can about the destination that you're going to, whether in India or abroad, anywhere. Learn enough about the place. When you read enough, you will be able to decide if it is safe enough for you to travel solo. You will have enough information because of which you will not get cheated. That's a very important thing. Um, Stay centrally. As far as possible, stay centrally. There are all sorts of budgets that are available to people from the highest to the lowest. So the central location should most probably put you in a spot where you can walk up to the places that you want to see, or at least transport is accessible. And then when you finish your, even if it becomes a late night for you, when you finish your day, you can easily walk back to your accommodation. So that's very important. Do not keep your money and documents all together and carry it with you all the time. It's best to spread it out. All your documentation should best be photocopied and emailed to your contacts, your family members. All the time, let somebody or the other know where you are. Okay, so that is going to be good for you. The world is beautiful. People are really wonderful. I'm telling you that. But don't let safety ever take a back seat. So make friends with people, talk about yourself, but don't give them all the personal information possible because you have met them very newly and you don't know what to expect. Okay, and eat, drink. Yes, there's great food and drinks out there, but never drink so much where you're in a vulnerable position where someone can take advantage of you. So these are few things that I always practice and recommend to others.
Those are great tips, Pinky. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
that. You know, do you ever do couch surfing?
I do, but not to stay in someone's house. I've never had the courage to. And also, I think being a flight attendant, somewhere I developed a broken sleep issue. I became a light sleeper. So with all this, it was very difficult because you can't determine how that couch is going to be. It can be a private room also. It can really be somebody's sofa. So I really didn't have the courage to go and couch surf and stay in someone's house. A lot of my friends have done it, let me tell you, and that is one of the most inexpensive ways of traveling abroad, especially because accommodation does take a huge chunk of your budget away from you. Okay, but I do couch surf when it comes to meeting people for coffee, for people to take you around, and you get to meet some of the most amazing people by that method, and I would recommend it highly.
I have couch surfed, and I was also part of the global freeloaders, still am.
Oh
And I've
wow.
had the most amazing experiences where I've had an apartment all to myself in the middle of Amsterdam. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it's really the luck of the draw. And I agree with you. Figure out what works for you. Always do your research, because even on Couchsurfing or Global Freeloaders, check the profiles, check the recommendations.
Yes,
Do not go and stay with people who have absolutely no profile or no recommendations, because then you're opening up yourself to vulnerable, advances or
situations.
whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah, so thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. I know you had a lot of reservations, but this has been really great. We've reminiscence over our Jereve's memories. We've spoken a lot about common friends. I am now keyed up to read your book. And I'm hoping that this COVID-19 ends quickly. So, what are you looking forward to once it ends?
Once it ends, I think first and foremost, I'm going to go to Theobroma, get half a kilo of chocolate cake and gorge on it. I really am missing it because it's not, at least to us, it's not accessible here in our area. I'm going to send reminders for certain payments which have not come in that I'm going to do. Then I have been taking a little bit of effort to upskill myself, and I'd like to believe that I'm going to be a little ahead of people when it comes to professional opportunities. I believe so. There's a wonderful course which I'm looking at. It's called The Fine Art of Small Talk with High Net Worth Individuals and the Art of Negotiation. So that's something that I'm looking at. And once I'm done with that, I hope to be in a better position when it comes to speaking to people and convincing. Now, just before the lockdown was announced, I was to begin working on a certain project, which has now got delayed. So all through these weeks, me and some of my team members have been prepping over it, connecting online, being on social media. So I'm very, very eager to start working on that. And once that is over, it'll take a couple of months for it to get over. I'm really looking forward to traveling to my next destination, whichever that may be.
Wonderful. On that
And I'm
note, I
also,
wish you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
sorry. Yeah, so and I'm also looking forward to a lot of recovery in the world, a lot of development, progress, a lot of economic situations opening up, and yeah, I hope and wish the best to everybody. I wish everybody happiness and peace.
On that note, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts this morning with us. It's been such a fun conversation. I wish you a wonderful day and good luck with your new projects.
Thank you, Elsa. We've got to do this another time. I'm looking forward to hearing from you about Safe City. You're doing some amazing work, and I really want to know how you managed that picture with Hillary Clinton. So, yeah, there's a lot that's unsaid, and let's do this another time as well. Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
so much,
thank
and
you.
thank you to all who have tuned in.
And for all of you out there, take a moment to think about all the frontline workers, including flight attendants, pilots, airline staff, transport staff. Now that the migrants are returning home, the railways, the buses, the auto rickshaws, everyone out there who are termed essential in their duties and who are putting their lives on at risk just to make sure that we can stay safe and have a better life. Thank you. Stay at home, stay safe. Let's flatten the curve so that we can have a faster recovery from this deadly virus. And check out my past episodes. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Definitely. Bye.